amongst ourselves. Well, anywho, thank you for meeting today. My name's Amanda, and today I will be talking about Nutrition 101 and exploring some healthy dietary options that you can find at SDSU. And so a brief outline is we will talk about the intro and background about me. We'll talk about the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist. We'll then talk about the core of the presentation, which is Nutrition 101. I'll then talk about some example meals that you can find at SDSU that are balanced, and then I'll share some resources at SDSU Dining, and then leave some time for a Q&A. So as I'm going throughout the presentation, think of some questions you'd love to have me answer. And just as a preface, this will be recorded and will be posted on the dining website in the near future. So a little bit of background about me is I'm from Davis, California, and I graduated from Cal Poly SLO, and I got my degree in nutrition, and then became a registered dietitian in April of 2023 and completed my master's in sports nutrition in April of 2025, so semi-recently. And I worked in a wide variety of nutrition settings, from sport, clinical, food service, school, community nutrition, you name it, I've worked it. And that really has helped me in my position at SDSU, where I do a little bit of everything every single day. And then I'm also currently working towards getting my board certification in obesity and weight management. All right, so first question of the day, what is the difference between a nutritionist and a registered dietitian? And you can just throw it in the chat. I can't see the chat, but throw it in the chat and go for it, and give you a second to kind of talk about it. All righty. Oh, perfect. There's the chat. All righty. Let me see. Oh, it's saying the chat's disabled.
Keep going.
Do you know how to fix that, Ben? It's saying the chat's disabled. I'll let you, while you're figuring that out, we will kind of talk about the differences between a dietitian and nutritionist. So there's quite a few differences. So congrats everyone who is here. You are a nutritionist. Your dog's a nutritionist, your mom's a nutritionist. There is no requirements to be called a nutritionist. Versus a dietitian, as you can see the differences here, you must have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, neither of which a nutritionist needs. You must also complete an exam to become a dietitian. Nutritionist needs none of that. As a dietitian, you also need to complete a dietetic internship and complete something called CEUs, continuing education units, every single 5 years, versus a nutritionist doesn't need any of that. And I love to educate people about this because on social media and online, you might see nutrition information from a nutritionist. And I always say, don't listen to that information. Always get your nutrition information from a registered dietitian, just given these differences. All right, so the chat is working, which is perfect. And so what I want you to do in the chat is put in, I'll give you about 15, 20 seconds to share if you're comfortable, to say what healthy means to you. So what does healthy mean to you? And while you're all typing away, I love
Q&A, Amanda, not chat.
The Q&A I answered. I opened for the previous one I thought I was going, so that's why I'm just going to do the chat, if that's okay. Perfect. Alrighty. So just putting in the chat what healthy means to you. Or Ben, can they put it in the chat?
It's we have Q&A enabled, not the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were referencing something else. Okay, put it in the Q&A what you think healthy means to you. And I'll give you about 15 seconds to say what that means to you. Alrighty. So I see balance. I love that. That's a great word. Healthy means being balanced in exercise, eating daily habits. Perfect. Exactly. So I love to ask that question because, like I said, healthy means something different to every single person. And as I'm talking about the Nutrition 101 today, I hope that this information kind of helps guide what healthy means to you. All right, so like I said, we're going to be talking about the macronutrients and we'll briefly touch on micronutrients, but for sake of time, we'll touch on those potentially a different day. And then we'll also touch on hydration because when we think of nutrition, we just think of food, but hydration is just as important. All right, so first topic is protein. So protein should be about 10 to 35% of your diet, with a quarter of your plate being protein. And protein is important for numerous reasons, but the three I like to highlight most is probably the most popular one is builds and repairs your muscle tissue, supports your enzyme and hormone production, and then also helps maintain your immune function. So it keeps you healthy during the winter. And different categories here of my favorite protein sources, as well as examples, and then the frequency of how much you should eat every week, just because it's good to get variety and get different nutrients from different sources of protein. All right, now the number one question I get asked all the time is how much protein do I need? How much do I need to eat every day? And you might have seen different information online, seeing anything from 1 gram per pound to 0.8 grams per kilogram. So much information out there. But I'm here to set the record straight. And so it is best to consume 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. And I will leave these directions up for about 15-20 seconds just to let you see how you can calculate your protein needs. But again, these slides will be posted online for you to reference. So the first step is you're going to get your phone or calculator, whatever's closest to you. You're going to type in your body weight and then divide by 2.2. And the purpose of that step is just to get your weight from pounds to kilograms. And then once you have your weight in kilograms, you're going to multiply that number by 1.2. And whatever that number turns out to be, that is the lower range of protein you should eat every single day. And then you're going to repeat that step, and that weight in kilograms, you're going to multiply by 1.6, and that is the higher range of how much protein you should eat every single day. So that's the range of protein you should consume. And one thing to note is your protein needs, if you're an athlete, will be a bit higher. And if you have a bit more sedentary lifestyle, that number will be a little bit lower. Alrighty, and the second component or second macronutrient we're going to talk about is carbs. And carbs should be about 45 to 65% of your diet, with, if you look at a plate, again, about a quarter of your plate should be carbs. And carbs are great for so many reasons. First one is it's your body's main source of energy. And when I think of energy, it fuels your muscles, but it also fuels your brain. We sometimes forget that our brain is a muscle as well. And also provides fiber, which I will briefly touch on. And as you can see here, these are some of my favorite carb sources, as well as the frequency you should eat them every week. The different grains have different vitamins and minerals, so it's always good to mix it up. And then moving on to fat. Fat should be about 20 to 35% of your diet, and fat is important for supporting your hormone balance, helping absorb fat-soluble vitamins, which are going to be vitamin A, E, K, and D, and also helps provide you long-lasting energy. So now you can throw it in the Q&A. True or false, seed oils are bad for you. True or false? And I'll give you about 10 seconds to throw that in. I love all your answers about what healthy means to you. Okay, see, I'm seeing some true, I'm seeing some false. So a little mix of both. All right, so I'm here to set the record straight that it is false that seed oils are bad for you. It is very popular online and on social media, but they are not bad for you. And reason being is seed oils have something called linoleic acid, which is just a fancy way of saying omega-6 fatty acids. And they're good for you because they help lower your LDL cholesterol, which is just your lousy cholesterol, your bad form of cholesterol. So seed oils are not bad for you. Next time you see anything online or social media, just know that it is false, and seed oils are not bad for you. They do not have an inflammatory, they do not cause inflammation in your body, and you are good to eat them in moderation, just as you are with everything. And then looking below, these are the different categories of fats, as well as examples and frequency. And if you're asking me, the best source of fat is going to be monounsaturated fats, which you're going to get from sources like olive oil, avocado, and nuts. All right, and I know it's not a macronutrient, but I had to touch on fruits and veggies. I'm a dietitian, and it would be sacrilegious if I didn't talk about fruits and veggies. And I also wanted to highlight fruits and veggies for their fiber. So you can throw in the chat, what percentage of Americans do you think eats enough fiber every single day? What percentage? I'll give you about 10 seconds to throw in your guesses, a numeric percentage. Okay, I see 15, 20, 30, 20, 20. Okay, perfect. Well, the correct answer is 5. Only 5% of Americans eat enough fiber every single day. So that's why I always like to drive the point home when I'm talking to people. And so, as you can see below, these are the different categories or colors of fruits and veggies, and each one has a different function. Each one has a different nutritional benefit. So that's why I always like to say, eat the rainbow. You can get different benefits from a red bell pepper versus an orange bell pepper, so on and so forth. And as I was briefly touching on as I was going through the macronutrients, this is what I like to call the athlete's plate. It is the basics of nutrition. Whenever I'm talking to someone, I always want to start at the bare bones, which is how to have a balanced plate. So I love this visual because it shows different sources of protein, sources of carbs, and color. And it shows what a balanced plate should be. So half your plate should be fruits and veggies, a quarter protein, and a quarter carbs. And always trying to drink water when you can. And speaking of water, hydration is our last component of Nutrition 101. So another question I get all the time is how much water I should drink every single day. And especially in San Diego, when it is hot, basically all year round, drinking enough water is really important to stay hydrated. So drinking about 0.5 to 1 ounce per pound of body weight you weigh daily is a good recommendation. Now, that definitely varies on if you are a sweaty person or not, but just a guideline. And then drinking water is important for numerous reasons, but the 3 I like to highlight are helps regulate your body temperature, helps keep you cool. Like I said, the San Diego weather can definitely be a bit warmer, so staying cool is important. Also helps support your digestion and breaking down nutrients, which maybe we don't think about when we're drinking water, but when we're eating foods that have water-soluble vitamins. And the best way to have them absorb is drinking water. So drinking water with our meals is important for hydration and nutrition. And then also helps maintain energy and brain function. We've all been dehydrated. We've all had headaches. We've all felt maybe even a little bit dizzy from being dehydrated. So drinking enough water is important. And nowadays, everyone has a water bottle, whether it's a Stanley, a Hydro Flask, an Owala, you name it. You guys all probably own one. So drinking enough water every single day is important. All right, so moving on to the SDSU components of this, of the presentation. One question I get all the time is how can I eat healthy on a budget with limited time? And that is the $1,000,000 question. And the answer I like to give people is often Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is so helpful because they have items that I like to call like semi-homemade. So they help make your meals really, really easy, convenient, quick. And especially if you're a student in the dorms, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, staff member, faculty, we can all make these meals from the comfort of our home or our dorm. They involve very little cook, very little prep. And these are some of my favorite I like to highlight. And again, these slides will be posted online, so you can reference these till the end of time. But I just really like to highlight Trader Joe's pre-made items that you can throw together. They're no-cook meals, and they're still balanced. And if you notice here, every single meal has that balanced protein, carb, and color. So protein, carb, color, protein, carb, color, and you get the gist. And now, how does SDSU fit this model? How does SDSU fit that protein, carb, and color balanced meal blueprint? And I'm going to briefly go through some slides and some meals that we offer at SDSU that follow that guideline. Again, you can reference these online, but these are some of my favorite I like to highlight. So we have UTK, if you're all familiar. They have a fantastic breakfast options, anything from dairy-free, vegan, gluten-free, you name it, they have it. And again, they all are following that protein, carb, and color blueprint. And so this resource, I like to highlight what each source is as well for an educational component. So again, we also have Shake Smart. Their smoothies are great. The peanut butter toast, the PB bowl, all their acai bowls, you can all find them having that protein, carb, and color balance. Halal Shack is also a great one on campus that I'd like to highlight because it's build your own. It's fully customizable. And so you can choose your protein, choose your carb, and choose your color, which helps mix things up. You don't get tired of the same meals all the time. Which is the same thing as well. You can build your own sandwich and choose your protein, choose your carb, choose your color. You can find something that fits your mood for the day. These are some of my favorite I like to highlight, especially if we have any vegetarians out there. I like to highlight our vegetarian sandwich. Our turkey sandwich is a classic, or the chicken sandwich. And again, all of them following that protein, carb, and color balance of being a nutritious meal. Also, I love Habit Burger. They have all of the different burgers and salads. You can get a burger lettuce wrapped if you're being carb conscious, and they have a bunch of different options that follow that protein, carb, and color blueprint. Now, last part I wanted to highlight for you guys tonight is resources for SDSU dining. So whether you are faculty, staff, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, all of these resources will be beneficial for your dining experience. And the first resource I like to highlight is me. I like to highlight that I offer one-on-one dietary consultations, unlimited, and we can talk about anything you would like. I have talked about allergies, dietary restrictions on the meal plan. I've talked to students who are off campus trying to lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight, whatever it might be. I've even walked through Trader Joe's and the markets with students and showed them different options and products that I really like and are dietitian approved, I like to say. I've also helped students meal prep and do meal planning. So I like to touch on a lot of topics when I'm doing my dietary consultations. It's open to students of all years as well as staff and faculty. And other resources I like to highlight, and I will show you the steps for how to get there. So how to access the dietary resources for SDSU dining. And the first step is you're just going to go to www.eatatsdsu.com, and it's going to send you to the home screen that looks just like this. And then what you're going to do is click the nutrition information tab, which is going to be right here. Again, these are just screenshots, but you're going to hover over the dining resource tab. And then right here, you're going to access all of the different resources that I have created for SDSU students and staff. And so I like to, there's quite a few on here. There's 12 right now with more, or I'm sorry, 15 now, more to come. And so we have different resources such as if you are celiac or just choose to be gluten-free, I have a celiac guide for SDSU dining, highlighting different gluten-free options throughout campus that you can purchase on meal plan. I also, if you're a vegetarian out there and still trying to hit your protein goals, I have a high protein vegetarian meals at SDSU resource. I also have one highlighting high fiber meals at SDSU, high protein meals, sweet treats that are still healthy, healthy items from the markets, you name it, I probably have it. And if I don't, feel free to send me an email. I'm always happy to have new ideas. And then the last resource I wanted to show you is going to be called NutriSlice. So let me go there real quick. Whoop, can you still see my screen? Can someone just put in the chat if you can still see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is the website called NutriSlice. And what this website does is it shows the nutritional information for our self-operated locations on campus, which is going to be the markets, the grill at Aztec Shops, as well as UTK. And so what you can do, and I'll show you briefly right here, is you just click in the location you want the information for, and you can just hover over the item. So right here, it shows the allergens as well as the nutrition information and the ingredients below. And so you can click that, or you can explore that for all of the self-operated locations and figure out the nutrition information as well as the allergens for your meal. Let me go back to my slideshow. And thank you so much. I'm happy. I wanted to save enough time for questions. And so I appreciate your patience with all the technical difficulties. And yeah, thanks for attending tonight.
All right, thank you, Amanda. So I'll just read out a few questions that have been in the Q&A, and thank you
Perfect.
all for attending and bearing with us. So first one is, could you, yeah, could you please provide a list of healthy items we can get at Trader Joe's? So maybe you can just kind of
Yeah.
recap what you mentioned about the Trader Joe's resource.
Yeah, I'd be happy to kind of go back and show you some of my favorite products, and I can highlight them with a visual. Give me 1 second to get there. Alrighty. So Trader Joe's has a bunch of different options that I love to highlight. A few of them, especially if I don't know your living situation, but let's say you're a freshman on the dorm. I love their frozen rice. They come in a pack, it's pre-cooked, you just chuck it in the microwave and you're good to go. You have fresh brown rice in 2 minutes. They also have really good bag salads. That's a personal favorite of mine that I'll do in a pinch. It's all encompassing, has the dressing, the toppings, the veggies, you're good to go. And I also really like one of my favorite products from there is their edamame. Edamame's fantastic, high in protein, high in fiber, a really yummy snack. Throw some salt on it and you're good to go. So those would be some of my favorites from here. And if you had more specific questions, I'd be happy to book a meeting with you and go into a deeper dive of Trader Joe's.
Thank you. The next question we had is, what are some of your greatest success stories, or maybe you could point to one success story when it comes to dietary counseling?
Oh, that's a great question. One of the questions I had was, or one of the best success stories I had is I was working with a staff member who was trying to lose weight, and I've been working with them for about a year consistently, meeting with them about once every 2 weeks, and they've lost 65 pounds. And I just met with them today, actually, right before this meeting. So that's probably my greatest success story. I love seeing their excitement around food and health and losing weight and understanding their body. So that's been probably my greatest success story I like to share.
Great. Next one is, what recommendations would you have for students who are on a budget? A lot of healthy food seems like it's expensive.
Yeah, that's a great question. And sometimes fresher food can be a bit pricier. So the two things I love to reference people to are going to be canned fruits and veggies or frozen fruits and veggies. And frozen food gets a really bad rep, but the Green Giant says it best. They are packed at the peak of freshness, which is genuinely true. And so I would recommend kind of scouring the frozen section, buying frozen fruits, frozen veggies. They're just as good, just as nutritious, and just as tasty if made properly. As well, same thing with canned fruits and veggies. I love a canned bean, a canned peach. You can get a little creative with it, and they're economical, and the shelf life is definitely longer, so you can stretch your dollar.
Thank you. This next one's interesting. Do you have thoughts about oxalates?
Oxalates. Oh my gosh. To be honest, off the top of my head, I'd have to refresh my memory, but from what I remember, I know that they are in more cruciferous veggies, and sometimes when eaten in excess, they can cause kidney stones, but that's like in excess. That's just what I remember from school. But I would say when it comes to oxalates, apologies, I would say limiting your cabbage consumption. Sometimes you can overdo it, but the cabbage isn't very popular in the American diet, so that's why oxalates aren't talked about as often. But long story short, limit your cabbage consumption.
All right, thank you. This one's a good one. How do we sign up for one-on-ones? I think the main consultations.
Yeah. So one-on-ones, let me just show you really quick. Let me escape here. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna go to eat@sdsu.com. And here, let me make this bigger. You're going to go to eat@sdsu.com, and it's going to show you a homepage that looks very similar to this. And it shows all the tabs at the top. And you're going to click nutrition information. And there's a tab that says dietary consultations. And then you just click this big red button, book a meeting. And then that's how you do it.
Great. And what can somebody expect out of a meeting? Like, how long would it last? Is it Zoom? Is it in person, et cetera?
Yeah, no, great question. So the meetings typically last 30 minutes, and I do Zoom, but if you prefer in person, I can also do in person. And it kind of talks about, I ask you what your goals are, how I can best help you. If you're a student on the meal plan, if you're a staff member who just cooks at home, if you're a student who lives off campus and cooks and new to meal prepping. So really just kind of meeting you where you're at and helping you however I best can.
Great. This one I think you've been over a little bit. Maybe you can just reiterate. Do you have a resource for dining on campus and healthy meals that I can buy?
So good news, it's free, and I have lots that you can access. And so they're also going to be on that same website I referenced prior, the eat at SDSU.com. And all of these resources are free for you to use. And they highlight how to eat healthy and find balanced meals on the meal plan.
Perfect. Next, can you recommend some healthy, quick breakfast items?
Oh, I can. Some of my favorite breakfast items are going to be a yogurt parfait. So just some Greek yogurt, fresh or frozen fruit with some granola. You're good to go. I love a protein smoothie. I've eaten the same protein smoothie for breakfast for the past 5 years. I kid you not. So Greek yogurt, frozen fruit, throw in a banana, throw in some soy milk. You're good to go. You can drink it while driving to work. What else? If you're in a pinch, if you like something sweeter, Kodiak has some frozen waffles that aren't too shabby. Throwing some fruit on there and you're good to go. If you're really in a pinch, Trader Joe's has these pre-made egg bites. You can just chuck in the microwave and you're good to go. Yeah, those would be some off the top of my head.
And then on your resource page, you also have how to build a better breakfast at SDSU, correct?
I do, yes. And so this is also one. So if you're a student on the meal plan and you don't want to cook for yourself, you can also find how to build a better breakfast with this resource.
Great. Next I have is how many grams of fiber do we need to eat daily?
Yeah, so good question. So if you're a man, you need about 35 grams a day. And if you're a woman, you need 25 grams a day.
There you go. Next are the super greens and teriyaki chicken at Panda Express healthy?
They are. That's actually one of my favorite things to get from there. I believe on the How to Build a Better Lunch, or it's the High Protein Guide. I'm not remembering at the moment. They One of my favorite meals to do is their brown rice with the super greens and teriyaki chicken. Or if you want to mix it up, I love their string bean chicken. Or if you're wanting some red meat that day, the steak stir fry one they have. I don't know the proper name, but that one's also really good. So yeah, I the teriyaki chicken and super greens is a great combo.
So this one just says putting on mayo. I heard they're basically saying they're asking if mayo is bad. Maybe you could talk about mayonnaise.
Yeah, mayonnaise. Oh, what a question. I would say mayonnaise is, I don't like to demonize any foods. I would say all foods are good in moderation. So if you're a big mayonnaise fan, I would say limiting your consumption if it's on a sandwich to maybe 1, 2 tablespoons maximum. But yeah, anything can be included in a balanced diet, just in moderation, especially mayonnaise.
I think this one we might have a resource for. Do you have any recommendations for students who are vegan or vegetarian?
Yes. So if you're a vegetarian, I have a resource that's highlighted right here. I have high protein meals that are vegetarian from SDSU. And then if you are vegan and on the meal plan, I'd be more than happy to kind of highlight some vegan options we also have at SDSU.
Okay, this is a uh, pertinent question for the time. Many of us grew up following the old food pyramid as a guide. Is that obsolete now?
Yes. So the food pyramid, oh my gosh, I want to say back in 2012, 2013, don't quote me on the year, switched to My Plate. And My Plate is very similar to, so it is obsolete to answer your question. And the blueprint, or yeah, the blueprint I like to use and I recommend to clients and students at SDSU is the My Plate. So half your plate is fruits and veggies, quarter protein, quarter carbs. So yeah, long story short, I recommend My Plate over the food pyramid.
All right. This one a little more general. How can I go out with friends at restaurants and still eat healthy?
Oh, great question. I would say I'm such a believer that you can order something healthy at any place. Like, give me a McDonald's menu and I will show you how you can healthify your order. And it all goes back to the balance plate. Like I reference people to this so many times. So when you're ordering out, try to make your meals as balanced as possible, following the half your plate fruit and veggie, quarter carb, quarter protein. Whether that means maybe skipping the bread basket and doing a side salad or getting a leaner piece of meat. So instead of getting the beef fillet, or instead of getting the tri-tip, maybe going for a fillet or a chicken or a turkey. So just trying to make small swaps when you're eating out. Always looking at the menu ahead of time is also helpful to kind of have a game plan, rather than when you're sitting there, you might be distracted with friends or whatever's going on at the table. So I also like looking at the menu ahead of time and figuring out what I can order that can be healthified.
Healthified. I like it. All right. The next is what are some good low calorie meals? I feel like a lot of high protein meals are very high calorie.
Yeah. Okay. So low calorie, high protein. Am I getting that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So some of my favorite items that are low cal, high protein are going to be going back to my non-fat Greek yogurt. I love them. They're so, so good. Egg whites would also be a good one. So like an egg white scramble. And then going back to Greek yogurt, like a Greek yogurt parfait or a smoothie. Chicken, tale as old as time, doing like a chicken breast. I prefer chicken thighs. They still have a pretty comparable amount of protein, a little bit higher in fat, but the flavor is worth it. Hard-boiled eggs are a great one, even like just like a full one. A string cheese is a great snack. A beef stick, like a Chomps, is really good. If you shop at Costco, they have like a Chomps dupe, which is really good. And we also sell Chomps in the markets, which are a good protein snack. We also have a bean salad at the market, which is high protein, low cal. So that would be something I would check out. And then if you're also looking, if you're a student on campus, I have a resource for high protein meals at SDSU that are vegetarian and non-vegetarian. So those are some of my tips.
Great. The next is how do you feel about intermittent fasting or one meal a day diets?
Yes. So, one meal a day. I never want to yuck anyone's yum when it comes to their dietary habits, but from my professional standpoint, one meal a day is limiting just because you cannot get all the nutrients you need throughout the day. Especially our protein, especially our fiber. If you were going to eat 25 or 35 grams of fiber in one sitting, your stomach would not be happy. And so I don't like one meal a day because it limits your nutrient absorption. And then intermittent fasting, that one people go back and forth on. I've seen it work. I've worked with so many people who have done it and haven't done it, and the results are mixed. So I would say if intermittent fasting works for you, you like to eat breakfast a little bit later, and you like that regimen, go for it. But if you're trying to lose weight or just maintain weight, there's other ways to do it that aren't just intermittent fasting.
Next one, what foods should I avoid for high cholesterol? And which
Oh,
foods can help lower it?
yeah. Okay, so high cholesterol, if you have high cholesterol, we're gonna want to avoid fatty foods. So that's gonna be fried foods, pre-packaged like cookies or cakes, ice cream, anything fried. I think I said that. Red meats that are fattier cuts. So like oh my gosh, I don't eat red meat very often, but fattier cuts would be you'd want to avoid. Full fat dairy you'd want to avoid as well, which is gonna be not as cholesterol friendly. And then ways to lower your cholesterol is going to be eating fiber. So eating your fruits and veggies, your whole grains, eating leaner sources of protein. So chicken, turkey, fish, and exercise. Exercise is a great way to also naturally lower your cholesterol.
This one's more of a request. It says, will you do a staff workshop on campus?
I would love to. Send me an email or book a meeting and I would love to be there.
We're always open to that. Uh, Next is a balance question. What are your thoughts about eating healthy but also enjoying treats? How can I balance this?
Yes. So I'm a big believer. All my family members have heard my speech before, but I'm a big believer of having food for the body and food for the soul. So when there's food, the food for the body is going to be foods like lean proteins, whole grains, fruits, veggies, healthy fats. And that should be about 80% of your diet. But then you also need to eat foods for the soul, which are going to be your cookies, your cake, your ice cream, your whatever, your guilty pleasure. And that should be about 20% of your diet. And you can't have one without the other. If you have too much food for the soul, your body's going to feel it. And if you have too much food for the body, your soul's going to feel it. So I'm a big, big believer of that 80-20 rule of food for the body and food for the soul.
80-20 rule. Very good. What are some differences? Next question is, what are some differences that I, as an athlete, should consider in my meal planning?
That's a great question. And it depends on your sport. So I'll speak a bit more general, but feel free to book a meeting and I'd love to talk about sport specific requirements for your performance. But in general, your protein need is going to be higher, your carb needs going to be higher, and your fat needs are going to be higher. So you're just going to need more calories in general, but specifically your protein. If you're a female athlete, I'd want to look at your iron levels and see if you're getting enough iron. Oh my gosh, what else? Your electrolyte levels, definitely in San Diego. We're going to be sweating a lot more. I'd want to see your hydration increase, especially if we're doing practice or double days, whatever it might be. That would be a bit higher. Yeah, and then if you're a runner or if you have a high endurance sport, I'd want to see how your intra fueling is looking. Are you getting enough carbs during practice, as well as what your pre and post workout nutrition is looking like?
Thank you. All right, the next person, they just love navy beans. So maybe you could comment on whether or not you think navy beans are a great source of nutrition.
Navy beans are great. Any bean, I'm a huge bean fan. Going to be a good source of protein and specifically a great source of fiber. Eat them every which way. I'll take any kind of bean. Chickpeas are best for it, but worth trying a navy bean. If you have an air fryer or just an oven, pat them dry, sprinkle with whatever seasoning, throw them in the oven 350 for 20 minutes, and it's a good crunchy snack. And if you're a salad lover, I like to use them as a replacement for croutons.
Thank you. Next is there any easy way to calculate how many grams of food of each type that I'm eating? So weighing the grams.
Oh, so if it comes to like, if I'm understanding this question correctly, if it comes to like tracking your macros or tracking your food, the best way is honestly the old-fashioned way, getting a food scale, putting your food on it, and measuring it that way. But there's a lot of apps, and I know AI is on the up and coming when it comes to tracking food that way, like taking a picture and having it do your macro tracking for you. There's no easy way just yet. Sometimes hard things are worth doing, as I like to say. But yeah, I would say the best way is to just do it on the scale.
It's something that can probably be easily ordered off Amazon.
Exactly.
Uh, what foods would you recommend if someone's not feeling well? Should they eat differently or be eating the same or if they're sick?
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're sick, I would definitely want to reach for foods that are a bit more mellow, I like to say, a bit more plain. So if you're having an upset stomach, there's something called the Brat diet. And so that's bananas, rice, apples, and toast have been found to kind of sit easy on the stomach. I'm a big fan of just if I'm feeling really sick, like my stomach's hurting, I'll do just like plain rice or saltines or something very mellow. But if I'm sick, like I have a sore throat, I love to reach for a soup, a bone broth, a chili, a popsicle, some ice cream, food for the soul, something to help with my throat. But definitely depends on the illness, so I'm speaking very broadly here.
That's great. Okay, we have a seed oils skeptic here, so maybe you can peel
Okay.
back where they say maybe perhaps canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn oil that can't be good for you, that could cause inflammation. So maybe you could talk a little bit more about seed oils and the misperception or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to seed oils, it is a big, and I would be happy, whoever the person is, to share the research with it because I too was also a skeptic. I was like, there's no way that you're telling me canola oil is okay to eat or it can be a part of a balanced diet. So I too was a skeptic. And then I read the research and it's actually genuinely okay. But I think the thing that gets tied with it and reason why seed oils get a bad rep is because sometimes and typically they're in foods that aren't good for us. So let's say my classic I like to say is like a ho-ho or like a ding dong or any pastry cake. Those are typically going to have seed oils in them. But it's not the seed oil that's making it bad inherently. It's what the product is as a whole. So that's sometimes why I think seed oils get wrapped in or roped in with being unhealthy because they're typically in unhealthy foods, but them themselves are not unhealthy. So I hope that clarifies. If you have any other questions, I would love to do a deep dive with you and make you a non-skeptic. Join the other side.
Next is what other options other than water would be good for hydration?
Yeah, great question. I know water can sometimes get boring, and I'm a huge fan of a bubbly water. I love Spindrift. I will drink 2 a day if my budget allows. I love them. Another would be unsweetened green tea is one of my favorites as well. We sell a really good one in the markets actually. Um, what else? Oh my gosh. Sometimes I'll add a splash of citrus to my water. So lemon, orange, I'll add a cucumber. Sometimes I'll add mint. That can kind of spice it up. And if you're like, all those sound terrible, I need something else. I also like to add sometimes I'll do like a crystal light, like an unflavored, or I'm sorry, an unsweetened like flavor packet to add to my water to increase my hydration or incentivize me drinking more water.
All right, and coming on the last few questions here, sort of on that same note, this question is there a best water to drink? Example, alkaline.
Um, off the top of my head, the best water is the water that you have accessible to you. I would say there's no one better water than another. Some people have personal preferences, like this water brand tastes better than this other water brand, but overall, any water is good water.
This next person wants to know how they should fuel before working out.
Yeah, so great question. So when it comes to fueling before a workout, you're gonna want to consume about 30 to easy numbers to remember 30 to 60 grams of carbs 30 to 60 minutes before working out, and that could look like a whole bunch of different things. And we want something that's going to be a quick carb, which just means that a carb that our body can digest quickly and turn into immediate energy, immediate glucose. So that could be anything from that could be an applesauce, banana, fruit snacks, a basic chewy granola bar. Oh my gosh. If you're not hungry, you could do a sip of Gatorade. Any quick carb that our body can immediately turn into energy and have us going out the door.
Great. So we'll do a lightning round these last couple questions. Everybody,
Okay.
thank you for your questions in the chat, and we'll wrap up with the last that have already been submitted. Any other ones? Amanda's obviously open to more consultations and questions just by contacting her directly after this. So the last few questions are, how do fatty foods with omega-3s fit into the general nutrition mix?
Yeah, fatty foods are great. You should be eating a fatty fish about 2 days a week. Salmon, sardines, tuna, any of them consuming twice a week would be recommended.
All right. This person says, I have a huge sweet tooth. Are there good sweet snacks you recommend that are also healthy?
Yes. I have a whole slide actually, or a whole resource on my favorite sweet treats that are healthier options that can be accessed online. And so I'll make that a lightning round answer.
All right. Go to eatasdsu.com and click over on dietary consultations, and you'll see that resource. This next one is, are there differences in how I eat as I get older?
Yes, depending on your gender. But I would say as you age, generals, we're going to want to focus on getting enough protein, and we're going to want to, not diet related, but we're going to want to strength train, watch our vitamin D levels, and watch our calcium levels.
Next up, are there any frozen fruits or vegetables? Or sorry, you touched on this a little bit earlier. Are frozen
Mhm.
fruits or vegetables less nutritious than fresh?
They are not. They are just as nutritious and just as delicious.
What foods do you suggest if one has a vitamin D deficiency?
So vitamin D is one of the vitamins that is kind of hard to get through your diet. It's in very niche foods. It's going to be in fortified foods, but also like egg yolks and sardines, but we're not eating those very often. It is in dairy, but not in high enough amounts. So I recommend getting or taking a vitamin D supplement. 95% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. So I would say looking into a supplement would be your best route.
And I feel like this is a perfect one to end on, and it
Perfect.
is, what is your favorite food for the soul?
My favorite food for the soul is either gonna be ice cream or a really good homemade chocolate chip cookie. Those I don't have a big sweet tooth, but those I love, love, love.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Amanda, do you have anything else to add before we end?
I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming. And if you have any follow-up questions or want to book a one-on-one, go to eat@sdsu.com and book a dietary consultation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, everybody. And the plan is to put this up as soon as we're able on eatasdsu.com under dietary consultations. So you can reference this whenever you like. along with all the other dietary guides that Amanda has created.
Thank you.